beautiful, and I love her, so.
We love our hognose snake.
Yep.
She's doing great, getting big. So what's up, guys? Today is going to be a pretty good one. Today, Natalie and I are going to pick the top 10 kid-friendly reptiles, in our opinion, right?
Yeah.
Our opinion. These are the top 8 reptiles that Natalie and I would pick to introduce a child to the awesomeness of keeping reptiles, right?
Yeah.
Now, we would definitely recommend... Oh, you're taller than me? We would definitely recommend supervision, especially depending on their age and their experience level with reptiles. In no particular order, we are basing these off of temperament, like how handleable they are,
Yep.
the level of care, and hardiness. Ready to get into it?
Yeah.
Let's get into it. So number 1, and the most obvious, leopard geckos. With their docile nature, pretty easy care, they make a awesome pet reptile to get into the hobby. Supervision is a must because with their small size and them being fragile, it would be very easy for them to get hurt, right?
Yeah.
So if you're like holding her and she leapt out of your hands, she could get really hurt.
Yeah.
I would say the biggest downside with leopard geckos is that they can drop their tail. So if a kid grabs them by the tail or like pulls their tail, they'll lose their tail, right?
Yeah.
It will grow back, but it's certainly not a good thing that they lose their tail. Also, and this goes for any of the reptiles that we go over here today that have a docile temperament or are pretty docile, it's not always the case. People will tell you that leopard geckos are like one of the most chill reptiles that you can possibly get. But out of all of the reptiles that we have, all of the snakes, the lizards, a Nile monitor, boas, pythons, the only reptile that we have that has ever bit Natalie was a leopard gecko.
Guess what? Nile monitors are not for kids.
No, Nile monitors, definitely not. Number 2, and we would say is an even better option than leopard geckos, African fat-tailed geckos.
Yep.
We have Penny, and she is absolutely the
Sweetest gecko.
Yes, the friendliest little gecko that we could
Yes,
ask for.
and Penny, do you know why we call her Penny? Because she has that copper color.
That copper color. And I mean,
And that penny color.
penny color, right?
Yeah.
And their care is very, very similar to that of a leopard gecko. But African fat-tailed geckos also have some downsides. They're very small, very fragile, so you need to be careful with them. And they, just like the leopard gecko, can drop their tail. So no grabbing them by the tail,
But,
picking them up by the tail.
Can it grow back?
Yes, it will grow back, but it's not good when they lose that source of stored
Yeah,
fat.
but crescent geckos?
Theirs will not grow back.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3, and probably the easiest snake to care for, oh, thank you,
You're welcome.
corn snakes. With their easy care and relatively docile nature, corn snakes make a awesome pet snake for kids and beginners. It's like one of the only snakes.
Is that big a snake?
Well, that's the only downside to them. Like you said, the only downside I see about corn snakes is they can get fairly large, up to like 5 or 6 feet. Thank you. But he is cool, ain't he?
Yeah.
That's a cute snake.
Yeah.
Number 4, sand boas. Sand boas, their care is a little more complex than the other ones we've went over so far, but it's still not rocket science. They make for a awesome reptile to interact with and a much more reasonable size, only getting up to about 2 to 3 feet. So that's a pretty small snake.
He does not have the same pattern at all. It's like
totally
white,
different.
white, black, black, dot, dot, black dot, black dot.
That's like one of the only snakes we don't have.
Yeah.
Biggest downside to sand boas is if you want a pet reptile that you can watch them move around and interact with their enclosure, this may not be the snake for you because they're gonna spend majority of their time burrowed in the substrate. So you're not gonna see them really that much. Number 5, bearded dragons. Bearded dragons make for an absolutely...
Oh, and we have him in the snake room.
Yes, we have bearded
Reptile
dragon.
room.
Yes, we do.
Oh, and
they make for an absolutely awesome reptile.
Bearded dragons are the best.
Most are incredibly docile. Their care is very straightforward. And bearded dragons come with the best little personalities, don't they?
Yeah, but...
He's funny.
Yeah.
And another plus about bearded dragons is they are daytime active. So to contrast the sand boa, this makes an awesome reptile to watch them interact with their environment in their enclosure because they're active during the day, not when you're sleeping. Number 6, Russian tortoises.
Oh, I may guess that one.
That little guy. They are active, have a great temperament, and are relatively smaller
Daddy.
in regards of tortoises.
Are they called yellow belly sliders?
No, that's a turtle. These are tortoises. I think they make for the best pet tortoise.
Yeah, and guys, guess what?
We don't have a tortoise.
Yeah, but
Not
guess
yet.
what? One day,
The only maybe downside to Russian tortoises is they can live up to 40 or 50 years.
yeah.
So if you plan on getting a Russian tortoise, be prepared that it is a animal that you are going to be in it for the long haul.
Yeah.
40 or 50 years. That's awesome. Number 7, Rosy Boas. They are smaller. Most are relatively docile, and they come in some beautiful colorations.
Yeah.
I love their colors and
What does
patterns.
their belly look like?
Let me show you. They make for a awesome snake to interact with.
It's beautiful.
That's a very pretty snake.
There's orange and that pretty.
It's like a cream color.
Yeah, that's.
Very pretty snake. We really couldn't find any downsides to a Rosy Boa,
Yeah.
other than they're a little more difficult to find than all the other reptiles on this page.
Yeah, and her nickname is Rosy, and her real name is Flower.
Oh, you're talking about Flower here?
Yeah, and her nickname is Rose.
Rose. Number 8, ringneck
Neck
snakes. Ringneck snakes. Incredibly small snakes.
You have two on
Incredibly easy to care for. This may be the pet reptile for you. Ringneck snakes are one of the only snakes that if you don't like feeding rodents or you just don't like having rodents around, you don't need to feed them rodents. Ringneck snakes will live their entire life eating worms, slugs, and other insects. One of the biggest downsides to ringneck snakes is they are very hard to find for sale and even harder to find captive bred ringneck snakes. It's very hard to find them. We know a few people, so if anybody is interested in a ringneck snake, let us know. But ringneck snakes are just awesome, beautiful little snakes. All right, guys, and those are, in our opinion, the top kid-friendly reptiles. Yes. As we had mentioned in the beginning, we would absolutely recommend supervision when any child interacts with a reptile until they have experience with it. But all of the reptiles we went over here today make an absolutely awesome introductory to the reptile hobby.
Yep,
for a
and
kid.
guys, if you found this informative, give us a huge thumbs up.
And consider subscribing for more of our reptile content. Yep. All right, guys. We will see you on Wednesday. Bye, guys.
Bye.